Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about principles. Let's talk about things as they really are and not as we wish them to be. And there's a lot of talk in the New Age circles, specifically, some of it bleeding over into the truther type community, but it's mainly a New Age type thing. All this idea of this talk about spiritual laws, universal principles, spiritual principles. And ladies and gentlemen, the list of these things goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And there's just so much of it. And it seems to me that at times, as people, we tend to want to complicate things, and we think that the level of complexity can somehow give it a level of validity. And boy, if it's really complex and if it's really, really hard to understand, then it must really, really be true. We see the universe as a place of complexity. And actually, I think just the opposite is true, that the universe is actually a place of simplicity. And the more simple and the more straightforward solutions and things are, the more reality they are. And we have to learn to develop our intuition. We have to learn to develop our own knowingness. And to that end, I just want to do a little experiment with you. Focus on that card right there. And I want you to tell me, is that card black or red? This is developing intuition. This is developing remote viewing. This is developing your stuff. And don't worry, I'm going to turn it around in a minute, and I'm going to do it so you can see it and I can't. Is that card red or black? What do you think? Well, if you said black, you're right. All right. So let me shuffle these again and see how I do. I'm just starting to do this. But we're talking about developing intuition. We're talking about developing I guess I'll have to close my eyes because I'd see it on the screen anyway, wouldn't I? So hopefully I'll this isn't the card, but I just want to see how high I want to hold them up. Okay, so I'll hold it up right there. Okay, so that card is black. Bam! I got it right the first time. Okay, so we'll see. We'll start doing that on every program, just to kind of develop our intuition a little bit, just to kind of develop our remote viewing, our sensory perception a little bit, our extrasensory perception. That's kind of fun. So we'll do that. But I want to talk about things that are simple. I want to talk about things that are more profound. And I think things that have been around longer and provide more stability and reality to us. And that would be the 7 Hermetic principles, not the 7,000 New Age laws of this and laws of that. And I'm not saying that the laws of this and the laws of that aren't good things, aren't helpful things. I'm just saying is silly too strong a word? Not really silly, but they're just they take away from the simplicity and the reality of the universe. There's 7 Hermetic laws, and Hermetic goes back to Hermes and Thoth, and goes back to Atlantis, and way further back than some of these other gurus and teachers. And again, I'm not really trying to bash anybody, but I'm trying to get us to realize the truth of simplicity and to realize the gravitas of history and the gravitas of antiquity, and why we should learn to give regard to things that are ancient. That doesn't mean they're all right. And being somewhat ancient myself, it's nice to think about giving some deference to age, but sometimes old age is better than new age, ladies and gentlemen, because the old age is tried and true, and the new age, well, sometimes it's just a new cage, but not always. So we're not trying to take things away from people, but I think you'll notice and you'll understand that as we look at the Hermetic principles, things will come to mind that are within the New Age community, is, oh, well, that's what they're talking about with that. So it can bring you a deeper understanding and validity. So let's talk a little bit about the principles, the 7 Kabbalistic principles. And the introduction says that the principles of truth, and see, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about principles of truth. And the principles of truth are 7. And to me, that just resonates. It shouldn't be 17. It shouldn't be 700. It shouldn't be 7,000. It should be simple. It should be 7. It should be very easy, very complex, very boom, boom, boom. Because after all, ladies and gentlemen, we love to pat ourselves on the back, and we love to think of ourselves as these great, complicated beings, but we're pretty simple, really. At the end of the day, we're pretty simple. So the principles of truth are simple. The principles of truth are 7. And he or she who knows these, understandingly, possesses the magic key before whose touch the doors of the temple fly open. So if you know these 7 principles and understand them, if you know them with understanding, if you know how to wield them, and you know how to use them, and you know what they mean, and you have the resonance deep within yourself, you've got the magic key. And the doors of the temple, the doors of the halls of Amente, the halls of your ascension will open, not just open before you, but fly before you. So there's 7 basic principles that I would suggest the entire universe revolves around. The entire universe works according to. And these 7 principles are known as the 7 Hermetic principles. You've heard Wayne talking about this, and you've heard Wayne and I talking about this. And sometimes I'm not an early adapter. I like to sit back. I like to observe. I like to contemplate. I like to meditate. And then jump into the fray. Sometimes I'm just the opposite. I'm ready, fire, aim. But for some reason, I'm at the place where I was a little bit more of a observer and thinker about this. But here we go with the 7 Hermetic principles upon which the entire Hermetic philosophy, remember, Hermes, the beginning, Atlantis, Egypt, the very, very beginning, the beginning of the beginning. And there's 7 of these principles. We'll go through them all at some point. The principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, of rhythm, of cause and effect, and of gender. I know our Catholic friends think of the rhythm as something different, but that's not what we're talking about. And we're going to discuss these, and we're going to explain these, and we're going to elucidate upon these and give you some intuitive expressions and thoughts, and also be a little bit more studious with them as well. But the principle of mentalism is pretty simply stated. It says that the all is mind, the universe is mental. All is mind. And think of the cliches that we have. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Check up from the neck up. As you think, so you are. We just understand this almost intuitively, that really the universe is mental and it all is mind. And I hear a lot of people say, well, God, and not coming just from a Christian perspective, but even from a spiritual perspective, whether you say God or the goddess or the goddesses and the gods and goddesses, the Elohim, whoever, the divine said, let there be light, and there was light. So sound is the most important thing, because sound is what was said. But let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. Before the divine said, what did the divine do first? Before you say anything, what do you have to do first? What is it absolutely requisite that you have done first? If you're going to speak, well, it's not always requisite, but it's recommended. If you are going to speak, you're speaking forth that which you've already thought. Speech comes from your lips, but where does thought come from? It comes from your mind. So really, all is mind. All is mental. And even if you're a hardcore Judeo-Christian that talks about the divine speaking the world into existence, it still started. Even the Christ said, out of the abundance of the heart does the mouth speak. So all really is mind, ladies and gentlemen. All is born of mind. And if all was born of mind, when we reduce it back to what it really is, then all is mind. This is a truism. The all is mind and the universe is mental. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Your universe, my universe, is run by what goes on in this thing, in your mind. You can either be a victim or a victor. You can be a champion or a chump. You can be an overcomer or you can be overwhelmed. You can be optimistic, you can be pessimistic. You can be sure it's going to be okay. You can be sure it's all going to hell in a handbasket. You can be sure you're going to make it. You can be sure that you're not. And guess what? If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. Why? Because the universe is mental. And what you think eventually will become manifest in your life, guaranteed. The substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances of which we know as the universe, as the material universe, the phenomenon of life, matter, energy, space, time, everything, every single thing that's apparent to our material senses is really spirit. It's mind. It's unknowable. It's undefinable. It's universal. It's infinite. And it comes from the universal, infinite, living mind. And we're reading today from what is this book? This is the Kabbalion. And we're in chapter 2, the 7 Hermetic Principles, coming from sacredtext.com. Now, all rights reserved. This is just fair use. I'm explaining and commenting upon it. So everything's mental, folks. It's all mind. So when people say this world's a simulation, well, is it a simulation? I don't know, but it's an imagination. Nothing's real. It's the only thing that's real is what we think is real, and what we think is real actually becomes real. All the phenomenal world or the universe, phenomenal meaning things that are phenomena, things that are what we'd say concrete. All these things are a mental creation of the all, the illimitable ones, the ineffable ones, the divine. We're living in a creation of the all. So you could say that if you want to say this is a simulation, then it could very well be defined as a simulation in the mind of the Almighty, whomever they are. I believe it's the great Father, Mother. So it is a mental creation of the all, and it's subject to the laws and the rules that are in the mind of the all. And it's interesting, as I'm thinking that Christ said that in him, in the all, we live and we move and we have our being. It's all mind, ladies and gentlemen. Mind game. Yeah, it's a mind game. Mind, you know what? Yeah, it's that too if you do that to yourself. And as we understand this principle, we can understand the mental nature of the universe. And then the explanation of it becomes very easy to understand how we get so caught up in all of the various mental and psychic phenomenon. We get so enthralled by all of these things that capture our attention because we know they're real. It's a mind world. All is mind. The mind is all. And we know that these phenomena that are mental, these phenomena that are spiritual, these phenomena that are incorporeal, we know that is the stuff of reality. This microphone, this shirt, that glass, this chair, that desk, those really aren't the things of reality. Those are the trappings of reality. And it's not until you have an understanding of this principle that you're being able to grasp the laws of the universe and to apply them to your well-being and your advancement. Until you know that it's a mental universe, and until you know that what you think determines how you live and where you live and what you live, you have no hope. That's why I'm always jumping up and down, especially for the recent past, talking about optimism. And I have people that I respect and some that I don't debate me about, oh, well, I'm a realist and I don't really need to be optimist. I need to understand, I need to take in. You can do whatever you want. But this one thing I know, if you want to be effective and you want to be powerful and you want to be in control and you want to be going somewhere and doing something, you must develop the habit of optimism. You must develop the ability to block out and stop things that come into your mind that are pessimistic or that are, as you say, realistic. Anything that's not optimistic, we need to learn to stop coming into our mind. Well, if it comes from you, then it's there and it can't be stopped. Baloney. Baloney. You are from the universal mind. The universal mind created everything. The universal mind is the most optimistic mind ever. And these things that come that you think, oh, well, it's part of me. It's how can I come against it? It's of me. It's not of you. It's of the lesser you. It's of the imbalanced you. It's of the you that is not within order. But the you that is in order thinks in ways of optimism, possibility, and positivism. And until you take charge of your mind, you will continue to manifest lesser things in your life. Jeff, are you telling me that if I block every non-optimistic thought out of my mind and allow only the optimistic ones to come in and only the optimistic ones to hold space and only the optimistic ones to occupy my mental faculties and my mental processes, that my life will get better? Absolutely. Your life, the quality of your life is based upon the amount of non-optimistic mental thoughts you allow to rent space in your dome piece, in your mind, in your head. The greatest spiritual people amongst us are the most optimistic. The greatest spiritual people amongst us are those that have the least amount of pessimism, skepticism, realism in their head. They see the beauty. They see the power. They see the glory. They see the best and the brightest and the most hopeful. And for some reason, Siri's writing this down. Siri, end. It's crazy stuff. With the master key. Okay, the Hermetic student is enabled to apply intelligently the great mental laws instead of using them in a haphazard manner. Most of us stumble around in the dark, in a black room, trying to find a black cat that isn't there. And every now and then we happen to run into something and get something right. That's haphazard. But with the master key, students may unlock the doors of the mental and the psychic temple of knowledge and enter the same freely and intelligently. When you understand that everything is mental and that the all is mental, you understand energy, you understand power, you understand master, and you understand how all these things are subordinate to the mastery of the mind. Don't try to bend the spoon, Neo. There is no spoon. Don't you get it? I've got to deal with the problems in my life. There are no problems in your life. There's just life, and there's just you. One of the old Hermetic masters wrote long, long ago, "He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery." Without this master key, mastery is impossible, and the student knocks in vain at the many doors of the temple. Until you get this, you're not getting anything else, to be frank and honest with you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to get it. You've got to realize, you've got to understand that the Almighty is mind, and that the universe is mental. And until the day dawns in your brain where you realize that a thought is just as concrete and real as a rock, that's the day that your life will change. When you realize that a thought is just as real in the plane of reality as a rock, then you'll stop tripping over them, and then you'll stop beating yourself over the head with them. Thoughts are rocks. Thoughts are rocks that you'll either build a foundation of elevation and ascension, or your thoughts are rocks that you will stone yourself with, fall over, and eventually fall under and be covered with in a big heap of rocks, because you'll be, for all intents and purposes, dead and gone without any cause left in you. All is mental, and the mind is all, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I know the God said, let there be light, and there was light. But before they said it, they thought it. And before you say anything, before you do anything, your thoughts happen first. And when you really know you're getting somewhere is when your thoughts start to be optimistic, when your thoughts start to be that of possibility, when your thoughts start to be that of positivity, when your thoughts start to be that of creation, when you stop whining and stop complaining and stop wondering the poor me stuff. When you start waking up with words of positivity and affirmation instead of words of complaint and disharmony. When you start walking around instead of asking yourself, why am I so tired? Why am I so sick? Why am I so, and you start saying, I feel great. I feel powerful. I'm divine. I'm sovereign. I'm free. When you decide to decide, you'll be a different person inside, and you'll be a different person outside as well. All is mental, ladies and gentlemen. All is mind. The Almighty is mind, and the universe is mental. And all of the physical is subject, ladies and gentlemen, to the mental and to the spiritual. I know this is deep. I know this is esoteric. I know it's not as easy to grasp and understand as some of the easy things out there. And, people talk about, oh, the Bible says that in the last days, people will gather unto them teachers having itching ears, and you think that's just Bible stuff. Guess what? I shouldn't say this because some people are going to get upset with me, but there's plenty of itching ears inside the New Age movement as well, ladies and gentlemen. And there's plenty of itching ears inside the truth movement, ladies and gentlemen. And there's plenty of itching ears within this new thought movement, ladies and gentlemen. And there's plenty of teachers willing to scratch them for a few views, for a few dollars. And I'm not saying it's wrong to try to grow your channel or wrong to monetize, not saying that at all. But if that's your proper motivation, wow, then we've got a serious issue going on, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to get this. We've got to understand this. The all is mind, ladies and gentlemen, and the universe is mental. And you are living in a universe which you create day by day, not so much by the words you say, but by the thoughts that you think. Why do you think the master said, take captive every thought? As a man thinks, as a woman thinks, as a boy thinks, as a girl thinks, so is she or he. I didn't say those words. The master said those words. As you think, so are you. What you gonna do? Now that this reality and this revelation has broken out all over you. As you think, so you are. You're driving the car, cousin. Where are you gonna go? The all is mind. The universe is mental. As you think in your heart, so are you. What you gonna think, who you gonna be, where you gonna go, cousin, it's up to you. I hope you figure it out quick, because we're the last generation of real humans, and it is time for us to get busy.